In this video, we're going to be tying the Bonefish Scampi. This is a great little bonefish fly, great for the Bahamas or Mexico or Florida. First thing we're going to do is start with some pink thread. We're going to add some medium bead chain eyes to the front of the fly. You can also use lead eyes if you're tying a heavier version for deeper water fish. You just want to make sure that those are nice and secure. Then we're going to take our thread all the way back here to the bend where we're going to tie in our tail. For the tail, we're going to use some pearl minnow body flash. You're going to make sure you take out the core. There's like a little piece of rope in there. You just got to get it by the tip of your fingertips. You can also use a pair of scissors or hackle pliers to kind of get it out of there. And it just slides right out of that pearl minnow body. And then we're going to tease a few of these fibers out of the pearl minnow body. We're going to use them for a tail. We're going to tease out about half a hook length of those fibers. We're going to tie them right on top of the shank of the hook. And we'll just let them hang off the back. Now we're ready for our body material. And for the body material, we're going to use some pearl flat diamond braid. It's just a little bit easier to wrap than the pearl minnow body flash is. So I take that all the way back to where we tied in that tail. At this step, it's actually easiest if you invert the fly. We're going to take a tan or a light brown zonkered rabbit strip. Either color works just fine. We're going to cut a short little section, and almost always your rabbit strips are going to come out of the package twisted and mangled. So the first thing you do is you take the rabbit strip and you stretch it. Take the leather or the kind of chamois portion of the rabbit strip and you give it a good pull just to stretch it. Then what I usually do is I take a little bit of water, or you can lick your fingers and you kind of just straighten out all the fibers just by stroking them back. And then you'll get a nice clean straight rabbit strip. They don't come like that straight out of the package, so you have to kind of work it and fix it. We're going to cut a little 1-inch piece, just long enough to cover the body of our fly. And I trim a little bit off the back end, just a tiny bit, just enough so I can get my thread in there and lash it down. So then what I'm going to do is just take the back end, so all the rabbit strip is facing forward. I'm going to take the back end here. I'm going to lay it right underneath the bend of the hook. And then I'll wet my fingers to kind of stroke the fibers back and out of the way. I'm just going to lay down a thread wrap to capture it. I want to make sure that I'm right at the back of that fly. I'll lay down 3 nice tight wraps, then I'll lift that rabbit strip forward and out of the way. If you caught a few of the fibers, you can just trim those out of there. Then I can lay down some nice tight thread wraps. Then I can wrap forward. I'll take my thread to the eye. At this point, we're just going to take that pearl flat braid, and I'm just going to wrap it forward, building up kind of a tapered body. I'll go around the eyes a couple times. Then I can capture that pearl flat braid, lock it down with some tight wraps. I'm going to take that rabbit strip, I'm going to pull it forward. I'm just going to measure it out along the shank of the hook. I want to make sure not to trap too many of the rabbit hair fibers. So all the ones that are forward on the rabbit strip, I just take them and pull them forward and out of the way. Then I can capture that rabbit strip with 2 wraps. Get in there as tight as you can and trim the entire front portion of the rabbit strip out of there. Now, the next step determines the color that you're going to tie. Today we're tying a pink one, so I'm going to take a very small amount of pink craft fur. You can also use pseudo hair for this. If you're tying a tan colored scampi, then of course you would use a few tan fibers of craft fur. And we're going to add just a slight amount. You don't want to add a whole lot. It's just a subtle little amount, just enough to add some color. Then we trim that out. And the last thing to do is we're going to take 2 pieces of pearl crystal flash. We're going to tie this in on each side, kind of on the top portion of each side of the fly. I just lash it down to each side. In this fly, you have to be real careful that you don't bulk it up too much. This fly was meant to be tied fairly sparse, so you have to be careful with your thread wraps. You also have to be very careful with how much material that you add. You don't want to add too much. And you can whip finish. And we can trim our crystal flash. I like it to just barely be longer than the pink craft fur that we tied in. You can kind of cut a few of them to different lengths if you like, just kind of make it look a little more natural. And that is essentially the Bonefish Scampi. Kind of give you a better look here. Great little bonefish fly. Works great in the Bahamas, Florida, Mexico. Imitates a small little shrimp, one of Bonefish's favorite little critters to eat. And they're generally tied fairly small, either a size 4 or a size 6. It can even be tied down to a size 8. And that is the Bonefish Scampi. See if I can. It's hard to give you a good look here with it on the vise. Being on the vise doesn't really do it justice. But that is the Bonefish Scampi. And you can find all the materials to tie this fly on our website, intheriffle.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's a link in the description below this video that you can follow to our website, and that link will take you to the recipe information as well as all the materials that we use to tie the fly. And that is the Bonefish Scampi. Oh, and the last thing you want to do is, of course, super glue. I had that out, ready to go. I use the brush-on kind, a lot easier to deal with. And you just add it to the head and also to the back of the fly. We have some exposed thread wraps on the back where we tied in that rabbit strip. Just put those on the back and the front, and that'll lock it down and make it very, very durable. And that's all there is to the Bonefish Scampi.